Alison, thank you so much for joining us. What is it specifically that you're looking at the moment?
So we at the Competition and Markets Authority are doing a competition market investigation into investment consultants and fiduciary managers, and the aim of the investigation is to assess whether competition is working properly in the market. Primarily that means, is it working on behalf of the clients of those firms and ultimately in terms of consumers within the UK.
Why was your attention drawn to this area specifically?
So this came out of a much wider piece of work that many people will be familiar with, which is the FCA's asset management market study. They looked at investment consultancy within that, and I think partly because their regulatory perimeter doesn't cover it, they thought it would be best handled in a more in-depth sense by the Competition and Markets Authority. So through the framework and the concurrent arrangements we have, they referred it to us.
I think M&G's Anne Richards described investment consultancy earlier as a very concentrated part of the industry. Is that what the problem is?
Well, that's one of the things we're looking at, and I'm pleased to say that hopefully in the next month or so we'll be publishing some emerging findings, because I think there are a lot of perceptions about these sectors and there's probably not a lot of hard facts out there. So one of the things that our investigation will certainly achieve, I think, is putting lots and lots of facts out there which haven't been in the public domain before. So we'll certainly be looking at that issue of concentration.
Obviously that's a very specific area, but investment managers need to be aware of lots of cost transparency issues at the moment. Generally, that's something that is being very much highlighted at this conference.
Yes, and that's definitely one of the things we're looking at, because the kind of framework we look at to see whether competition is working properly is whether the clients within a market can access and assess information about the services they're buying, and if they can't do that, and we've already published something which suggests there might not be kind of the best conditions for them in this market, then it's harder for them to drive competition and get the best kind of outcomes for themselves.
There has been some suggestion that there's been a slightly cynical approach to transparency in the past. The information may well be out there, but it's in the small print, it's very hard to access. Do you see that as a key area, and is it improving?
So the area we're looking at is probably a bit different to some of the retail side, where consumers get perhaps loads and loads of small print that they literally, well, they don't want to or they can't kind of manage to read. So pension trusts have, they're almost professional in the role that they're doing, but I still think, yes, it's a huge issue about whether the information they get can be, whether they can make sense of it, whether they can really assess what's in there. We've done a review, the document we published last week includes a review of literally hundreds and hundreds of documents produced by investment consultants and fiduciary managers, which are sent to pension trusts, and we've given some findings on whether we think it's possible really or realistic to expect those trustees to kind of make good sense of them.
What do you hope to see as the result of the findings that you're publishing?
So ultimately, I think we're very aware that we're operating within the broader pensions landscape, that's an incredibly important thing for people's well-being and their later life in retirement. Kind of almost goes without saying, but that's in the back of our minds that this really matters, and so the role that investment consultants play, they're just one part of the value chain, but they play a very important role for many of the pension schemes in the UK, and so what we want to see is that those schemes are getting best value and the best service.
Do you find a conference like this, where you've got 1,000 delegates from the industry coming together, useful in terms of that forward thinking?
So I've seen a few sessions so far. The ones I've seen really impressive in terms of people's knowledge and the kind of breadth of thinking that's going on. I'm hoping to see a few more.
I'm hoping to have some interesting conversations as well.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, definitely.
Alison, thank you so much for joining us. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.